Hello and welcome to Hadoop Exam Learning Resources. In this session, we will be discussing about AWS Certified Sysops Administrator. There are 6 domains which are covered in this certification. So we'll go through one by one on each domain. That is again introductory part which you need to know like before if you are starting for the certification preparation. So let's talk about the domain 1. So this domain is like highest scoring domain which covers like 20% questions from your certification exam. So this domain is monitoring, logging and remediation. So as name suggests, you need to know three things: how you can monitor your system, whatever you in AWS you have created. Correct? You basically get a lot of services when you work with the AWS services. Then you would be working on logging, and then how to log when this services, because logging is very critical. If you have been developer, you know how important is logging. And once you have this monitoring and logging in place, then how to remediate your incident, whatever happened, basically, correct? How to find what is wrong, going wrong with the system, what had happened. So as discussed, 20% question from this domain. So which is like what exactly logging and monitoring you would be doing for your AWS services. You would be checking like security issues on anything if they're in the system, or if you can see like utilization of the services going above your limit or something kind of thing. So that is you can read. So that is under cost optimization, basically whether it is going beyond or not. Then your automation is properly working or not. As like incident happen, it should be automated. So your human hand should be as minimum as possible, like almost nil. It should be in your production environment basically. So you need to fix automatically everything. So that's where you need to do your deployment. When you want to release new stuff, then you should be able to deploy you like again without human intervention as much as possible. Then other aspect of operational management. So you have been working with production support team, then you would be knowing like what are the operational management you need to know basically when the issues happen. So this is more of the IT infrastructure, your development related stuff, your deployment related stuff. This all you should be able to monitor, log it if any issue happens, and by looking at the logs you need to able to remediate the issues whatever is there. So there are mainly two subdomains which you should focus on for Sysops. So you can say implementing matrix. So you, as the name suggests, you need to know how to implement the matrix. Like matrix means like utilization of your services, like let's say how much CPU from EC2 instance you are utilizing, what is the network IO you are utilizing, correct? Memory, you need to know how to create custom matrix for memory, because that is not provided by AWS by default. Similarly, once this crosses your limit what you define it, you need to raise an alarms. So like alarms means like sending an email, sending an SMS alerts, or um, basically these are the main way, and or publishing on the dashboard like any alarm is happening, so it should be visible who is monitoring from the dashboard. So this you should be able to do. And then filters by AWS monitoring and logging services. So yes, you need to apply the filters on this, like whether it's a valid alarms and kind of thing, correct? So we'll discuss more on that later, but that is more of AWS monitoring and logging services. Now second part is remediate the issues based on the monitoring and availability of matrices. So whatever matrix you have created in your first this learning, previous learning, then you need to act on it, and you need to resolve it. Basically you should be capable of resolving. So just monitoring and logging is not going to help. This certification exam also wanted you to know like how to resolve this problem once you get the alarm for those, correct? So now let's deep dive on each individual the subdomain. Like first is like which we discussed about this. So implement matrix, alarms and filters by using AWS monitoring and logging service. In this domain, you need to collect, analyze and export the logs and matrix data. Right? We have already discussed using above collected data to configure notification. So notification, how do you configure the notification? The best way is the if you see like SNS as a one of the best solution on the AWS service, like simple notification service. So that would you see in the most of the question that would be a part of this kind of thing, correct? But still you need to know like which notification service you would prefer. So services you should be knowing for here is like for logging and monitoring is AWS CloudWatch Logs, CloudWatch Logs Insights, AWS CloudTrail Logs, correct? So these are all logging services which are provided by AWS, correct? When you do use your services, each individual service has their own logging mechanism as well, correct? But this AWS cloud, these three services which we discussed, this also should have like externally managing the logging basically, correct? And then create a metric on that, create an alarm on that. You can apply the filters on that, you can create a dashboard using that matrix, correct? So that is that service is specifically dedicated for this purpose basically, like you know, like each individual service, like if you are using EC2 instance, so you can create logging for that EC2 instance specific in by EC2 service itself. But cloud, this all three mentioned, CloudWatch and CloudTrail, Watch Insight, these can help you to get this data outside of that service and explicitly create an alarm or metrics or publish on the dashboard, so that can be, you can monitor it. So that is your monitoring part basically, right? So first section you can say this is the logging. So this is you are actually doing the logging using these three services, you are actually doing monitoring using these three services, correct? And configure the notification. So now you need to send the notification. So as I mentioned previously, there are various notification service like simple notification service, AWS service quotas, when you limit crosses when your service quotas are. Then CloudWatch alarms, basically there are alarms. Then AWS health events. So these are the things which you need to know as part of this domain. So this is very critical section because you can imagine almost 10% questions from this section, 10 to 12% even I would say from this section of this domain one. Now let's move for the next domain under this is like sorry, remediate issues based on monitoring and availability metrics. So we created the, like in previous section, like how do you create the alarms, metrics and logging and everything, correct? Now how do you remediate that? That is the most important thing. So you need to able to solve the problem which is happening. So use your data from logs and metrics to assist in troubleshooting. So what had happened, so you as a developer or sysops, you should know like how, what should I look into the log, and like if log is giving me any hint of my problem basically, correct? And then based on that you need to take corrective actions and send a notification or alarms. Like you should be able to set up this, it is possible like you are sysops but you may not be knowing like how developer have coded this stuff. So what you can do, you can send a notification or set up alarms basically, and that notification should go to the development manager or the person who is responsible for the development of that particular component basically, correct? That is what. And utilize various rules to notify, prevent, take action based on the end of need of your environment. So it's not like every alarm you would be sending to each and every person, correct? So you need to select like whom to send, you need to apply filter, what alarm needs to be sent, what alarm yourself should be taken care of. This all things you should be able to configure. So most important services under this would be like AWS CloudWatch, first monitoring services from. So this AWS CloudWatch, if you are have been in the AWS from long time, you would be knowing like AWS CloudWatch is since like 2010 this is services available. So these have been improving since then obviously. So CloudWatch is much more than monitoring. So it's just not for monitoring, it can do the collection of the logs and metric data, monitor with dashboard and alarms. It helps you to create alarm. So now you need to know the following in detail: Amazon CloudWatch Logs, CloudWatch Logs Insights, CloudWatch Agent, CloudWatch Dashboard, AWS CloudTrail Logs, CloudWatch Alarms, correct? So these many things you should be knowing how to utilize that basically, correct? Then AWS and SNS. So simple notification service we have discussed, service quotas, AWS health event, AWS event bridge, that is also in this. So event bridge is like configure, you should be able to configure Amazon event bridge rules to trigger the action, correct? And then it system manager automation. So this all will discuss in detail obviously this each service, and then AWS config. So you should be knowing under this domain. So when you are preparing for certification, it may be possible you would be focusing on first domain wise, like how to learn basically, correct? It's like step by step you have to prepare for the certification. It doesn't like work like that. You would start from this service, this service, this service, this service. No, I would highly recommend go for the domain wise. So you would become more comfortable, like in which domain I am more comfortable for preparing for this certification. And even if you are good on 5 domain, uh, like out of 6, and 6 one is like just you have overview or something, then still you can appear for the exam basically, correct? So like your target should be the passing this exam. Obviously you should try to score as much as possible, but the first target should always be to clear the certification. It should not like highest scoring or something, because that is not going to help too much here. Obviously, correct, you need to clear this certification for your job perspective. So that is your target. So this is applicable for every exam, correct, basically. And once you clear the exam, like if you know very comfortable, then your target should be scoring basically, correct? So that's all about the certification material of AWS Sysops. So thanks for watching, and if you're watching this video on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe. We would be uploading more and more videos about this certification. So wish you all the best for your AWS Sysops certification, and we will be putting more videos on that stuff. Thanks for watching.